The next person that is coming on stage, I really enjoyed meeting for the first time last year. When we actually spoke a couple of times online, his name is the same name as my best friend from like when I was 5 years old, all the way up till now. So I was like, this is awesome. And then we just started having convo. So I'm just really going to read. This is Kemal Yaşar. Kemal is a graduate of Grassroots Institute for Political Science and the Ludwig's Maximilian University of Munich, and the director of marketing at Blink, the everyday Bitcoin wallet that we all love to use so much, and is also, of course, one of the main sponsors of this conference, as well as an organizer of adopting Bitcoin, not just adopting Bitcoin Cape Town, but globally. So please put your hands together for the one and only Kemal.
Good afternoon, Cape Town. It is a pleasure to be back. My name is Kemal Yaşar, and I've been organizing Adopting Bitcoin conferences since 2021. And I'm very pleased to be here in Cape Town for the second time after the first Adopting Bitcoin conference, Cape Town, a year ago. Also, since 2021, I've been working on Blink, a Bitcoin service provider regulated in El Salvador. And that is going to be the topic of my talk for the next 15 minutes. I hope that at the end of this talk you will have a better understanding of what our mission and vision at Blink is, as more people around the globe have their very first interaction with Bitcoin through Blink. Also, I hope to leave some time at the end to take questions from the audience. So the Blink story started in El Salvador in the year 2020, a year before the Republic of El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender. Back then, a group of Bitcoin maximalists in a remote town known primarily among surfers for its fantastic waves were advocating the use of Bitcoin as money in their community. These Bitcoiners needed a wallet that was suitable to onboard people and businesses in the community to Bitcoin. A wallet that was easy to use by non-technical or even illiterate people. But despite a plethora of applications in the market, nothing fully matched the requirements of what they had in mind. Blink was originally developed as a tool for them, a tool to assist Bitcoin maximalists to onboard beginners to Bitcoin. The name of the app at the time was Bitcoin Beach Wallet, which was a fitting name. Almost everyone in Zonte, which was quickly nicknamed Bitcoin Beach, started to use it. But it didn't stop there. Both the community and education-focused work of Bitcoin Beach, which was born out of Hope House, as well as the Bitcoin Beach wallet, which had education built in, spread to communities outside of El Zonte, and suddenly the app had users all over El Salvador, not just Bitcoin Beach. It became clear that many things that worked in El Zonte worked in other communities too. And it's not just education and evangelism of hardworking community leaders that I'm talking about. Great Bitcoiners like Mike Peterson of Bitcoin Beach, Patrick van der Meijde of Bitcoin Start Arnhem, Herman from Bitcoin Ekasi, Lee and Rich of Bitcoin Jungle, Bitcoin Lake in Guatemala. They showed us how to bring Bitcoin from cyberspace and the internet to the people in meat space, to the people in the streets, to the people that are not digital natives, with social work, community, events, and relentless education. But it was Bitcoin that they chose to spread. They had independently arrived at the conclusion that they wanted to spend their time and energy on furthering Bitcoin to their friends, family, and neighbors, not PayPal or Visa or another digital representation of Fiat, not Ripple, not Ethereum, but Bitcoin, and Bitcoin only. That's what Bitcoin maximalists do. At Blink, we have a very simple definition of who a Bitcoin maximalist is. It's a person who believes three things. Number one, that bad money is the biggest challenge of humanity. Number two, that Bitcoin, BTC, adoption is the solution. And number three is very important, it's a person who prioritizes the success of Bitcoin as money over their own personal short-term gain. There are many people out there that believe in 1 and 2, but not in 3, right? We call them shitcoiners. So Bitcoin maxis are women and men on a mission. They are relentless, and a man on a mission or a woman on a mission is almost unstoppable. And as crazy as it may sound, the mission is to fix the world by fixing the money. Give me a place to stand, and with a lever, I will move the world. Many of the big problems we face in today's societies can be traced back to having their origin in fiat money. I look at fiat, and all I see is the power of the few to violate the property rights of the many with just the push of a button. The fiat system is systematic, automated, institutionalized theft. It's a gross and fundamental violation of our shared moral values. It is a violation of property rights and of the consensus that theft is bad. A shared consensus that is foundational to all religions in the history of humanity. Yet, under this recent fiat regime that is forced upon us, we are being stolen from all the time. To add insult to injury, we are being told that this theft is good for us, that we need to target stealing 2%. The prospect of getting rid of this constant violation is what drives Bitcoin maximalists. We know there will be enough for all once we get rid of the systemic theft inherent to fiat. And it's actually remarkable how economic and financial literacy has skyrocketed through Bitcoin. There are kids discussing Austrian economics on TikTok. A Brazilian UFC fighter called Manny Moicano is regularly inviting his audience to read Ludwig van Mises and Murray Rothbard in his post-match interviews. He's a Blink user too, by the way, which is pretty cool. So the first good news is that we understand the problem. Fiat is a mainstream term now. Nobody thinks of the Italian car manufacturer anymore when we say it. The diagnosis is clear and there is no contention about it, at least among intellectually honest people. The diagnosis is that we have a severe case of global fiat. It's a real pandemic, or as Beverly said, a plandemic. The second good news is we have Bitcoin. We have the vaccine against fiat, or an antidote. Don't worry, this one is completely voluntary, but you'll want to have it because it is actually safe and sound. So we know what's wrong and we have Bitcoin to fix it. What now? How do we go about it? We need adoption, right? So which kind of adoption do we need to succeed? Do we need Larry Fink of BlackRock to shill it? or the sitting US president, maybe Fortune 500 companies, some sheiks with deep pockets in Dubai that already know how to protect themselves from inflation or can hire wealth managers to do it for them. The personal savings rate globally is at around 15%. On the African continent, it's a lot lower. Some estimates suggesting it's lower than 1%, meaning 1% of disposable income is being saved. The supermajority of people on this planet today do not have money to put aside at the end of the month. No disposable income. How successful are we going to be if we tell them that Bitcoin is the best savings technology, the best store of value, and they should consider saving their money in Bitcoin? Even if we were super successful with that approach, we would only get fractional adoption. For me personally, however, it worked. I started saving when I found Bitcoin. Before Bitcoin, I was a high time preference person. I didn't think much about the future. Only when I found Bitcoin did I start to think about the future, and I started saving. Bitcoin changed my savings behavior and my outlook on the future. But I didn't discover Bitcoin because I was looking for a savings tool. I discovered it as a way to transact digitally, to send money electronically in the now. By the way, thanks to Ross Ulbricht for creating the Silk Road on this note. I'm glad you endured the prosecution of the Fiat empire and came out alive and free on the other side. If we want to get rid of fiat, the use of Bitcoin as money will be the successful vector. We'll have to stop using fiat as money and use Bitcoin instead. We, the people. Our vision at Blink is to help bring about a world where Bitcoin is accessible to all. A world where Bitcoin is accessible to all so that more people can opt out of fiat and use Bitcoin instead. And to achieve that, we are developing Blink to be the best tool for Bitcoin maximalists, to onboard people and businesses to Bitcoin. So it's a tool for you. And the purpose of the tool is to assist you in your Bitcoin advocacy and evangelism. At Blink, we believe in bottom-up, grassroots, voluntary adoption of Bitcoin. But it is hard enough to explain everything that is needed to understand money, the fiat system, and why Bitcoin is a solution. With Blink, you have a tool that will work reliably and assist you by removing the technical friction when onboarding a curious mind to the network. Blink is a tool to help you, to help others start their Bitcoin journey. And with that, I want to say thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take questions from the audience if time allows. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much. My question is, I understand that Brink, in some countries you do on lamps and off lamps. So I was wondering, because I'm from Zambia, we are trying to build a circular economy, and we try to onboard some merchants, and the issue is that some of the merchants is that they need to get supplies, so they still need to convert into fiat. So I was wondering, are you considering to add more countries into opening the feature for on lamps and off? No. Okay. I get you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Excellent question. Thank you very much for that question. In my working at Blink, I'm trying to make it more accessible, and I look at the data of what's going on in the wallet. And it is, what you're saying is exactly the problem that we have identified. that a lot of people want to use Bitcoin through Blink, and it's a challenge to get money into the wallet, right? The problem is obviously the on-ramping from whatever fiat people have, whether it's cash or in their bank account, and getting it into the wallet, right? Obtaining your very first Bitcoin. Most people have fiat, and this conversion is called on-ramping, and it varies. Like, there is no one solution for the whole world. It varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, from region to region. And yes, we are working hard to fix this problem by leveraging, you know, a lot of, you heard today, for example, Orange is one company here. There are others on the African continent as well, also in other places. And yes, we have a globally dispersed user base, and we're trying to create these on-ramps in as many jurisdictions so people can buy Bitcoin inside Blink through the partners that we're looking to develop business relationships with inside Blink to make it really easy to get your first Bitcoin. At the moment, it's really relying on other Bitcoin maximalists who onboard you and send you your first sats. It's relying on peer-to-peer trading through apps like Vexel, for example, or Telegram groups, or Signal groups, or RoboSats, or, you know, centralized exchanges that require KYC, and then send your Bitcoin to Blink. We are going to work and focus on that to improve this situation, because on-ramping and off-ramping, and off-ramping I mean something like, for example, the great guys from Tando, right? They enable off-ramping from Bitcoin Lightning to M-Pesa, which is a payment system that has great market penetration in Kenya. Similarly, Money Badger here in South Africa, at Pick and Pay, it's also great off-ramping. So allowing users to bring Bitcoin into Blink, and then making that Bitcoin in Blink as useful as possible, so people can use Bitcoin as much as possible and have a higher allocation to Bitcoin, actually, right? Because, like Helen Zille, if you listen to her, she said, if you have 5% Bitcoin, like, I'm not going to spend my Bitcoin. Of course you won't. If you have 5% Bitcoin of your net worth, I wouldn't spend it either, right? Like, but if you're like at 100%, like, you have no other choice than to spend your Bitcoin, right? We have to get to that point. Right, thank you.